The Senate will come to order. Senator Cook for the pledge.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will everybody please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Majors, please call the roll.
Senators Aguilar, Balmer, Baumgardner, Carroll, Cook, Crowder, Donovan, Garcia, Grantham, Guzman, Heath, Hill, Hodge, Holbert, John, Johnston, Jones, Kafalis, Kerr, Lambert, Lundberg, Marble, Martinez Humenic, Merrifield, Neville, Newell, Roberts, Scheffel, Scott, Scott,
You're kidding. Absent.
Sonnenberg, Stedman, Stedman,
Absent.
Todd, Ulibarri, Woods, Stedman, Mr. President, Scott, Mr. President,
Here. 35 present, 0 absent, 0 excused. We have a quorum. Senator Merrifield.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the reading of the Journal of January 26 be dispensed with and the Journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
The motion before us is the adoption of the journal. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. That motion is adopted. Committee reports.
January 26, 2015, Committee on Judiciary, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following: Senate Bill 4 be amended as follows, and that's so amended before the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. January 26, 2015, Committee on Judiciary, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following: Senate Bill 7 be referred favorably to the Committee on Appropriations. January 26, 2015, Committee on Judiciary, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following: Senate Bill 13 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation, with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. January 26, 2015, Committee on Judiciary, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following: Senate Bill 43 be amended as follows, and as so amended, be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation, and with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. January 26, 2015, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following: Senate Bill 94 be postponed indefinitely. January 26, 2015, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following: Senate Bill 38 be postponed indefinitely. January 26, 2015, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following: Senate Bill 57 be amended as follows, and as so amended before the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation, with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. January 26, 2015, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following: Senate Bill 34 be postponed indefinitely. January 22nd, 2015, Mr. President, the Committee on Education has had our consideration and had hearing on the following appointments and recommends the appointments be confirmed. Members of the Board of Trustees for Colorado Mesa University for terms expiring December 31st, 2018. The Honorable Jose D.L. Marquez of Englewood, Colorado, Democrat, reappointed. Kathleen S. Eck of Edwards, Colorado, a Republican, reappointed.
Senate Services.
January 27, 2015, correctly printed, Senate Bills 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123, 124, 125, and 126. Correctly engrossed, Senate Bills 19, 24, 52, and 53. Correctly re-engrossed, Senate Bills 41 and 98. Correctly enrolled, Senate Joint Resolution 5.
Message from the reviser.
January 26, 2015, we herewith transmit without comment House Bills 1010, 1028, and 1071. Without comment as amended, House Bills 1039 and 1055.
Third reading of bills consent calendar. Mr. Majors, would you read the title of the bill on the third reading of bills consent calendar?
Senate Bill 53 by Senator Aguilar and Representatives McCann and Lonting concerning the ability to furnish a supply of emergency drugs for purposes of treating individuals who may experience an opiate-related drug overdose event.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the adoption of the bill on the third reading of bills consent calendar, which includes Senate Bill 53.
The motion before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 53. Is there any discussion on Senate Bill 53? Seeing none, are there any no votes on Senate Bill 53? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 53 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Ulibarri, Senator Merrifield, Senator Todd, Senator Kafalis, Senator Stedman, Senator Newell, Senator Jean, Senator Kerr, Senator Jones, Senator Heath, Senator Guzman, Senator Crowder, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Johnson, third reading of bills. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title of Senate Bill 24?
Senate Bill 24 by Senator Sonnenberg and John and Representative Riding concerning updates to the local government audit law to maintain consistency with audit standards.
Senator John.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 24 on third reading, final passage, and ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Senator Ulibarri.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you to the bill sponsors for bringing this bill. I heard it in committee and supported it then after discussion led by the good senator from Canyon City, and also after not being able to get clear information about how citizens would be able to inform the auditor about the request for an exemption if there are concerns about financial practices in a local taxing district or in a local government. I think we'll have to change my vote to a no. Wanted to just let the sponsors know. Thank you for bringing it, but I will respectfully be a no today.
Further discussion on Senate Bill 24. Are there any no votes? Senator Roberts. Senator Crowder. Senator Grantham. Senator Marble. Senator Ulibarri. Senator Todd. With 29 ayes, 6 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 24 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Mr. Majors, please read the title of Senate Bill 52.
Senate Bill 52 by Senator Crowder and Representative Kaiser concerning the approval of benefits for employees of the Colorado Health Benefit Exchange by the Legislative Health Benefit Exchange Implementation Review Committee.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 15052 forward for passage with an aye vote. Thank you.
Is there further discussion on Senate Bill 52? Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. President. I feel compelled to tell some stories from my district because I think a bonus, as I look up the definition of a bonus, it talks about something that is done a sum of money granted or given to an employee in addition to regular pay, usually in appreciation for work done. And I want you to hear the stories coming directly, current stories, coming directly from my district. And I do have some emotion tied to this because as a state senator, I usually hope that I can make a difference for my constituents when they run up against problems with state agencies or whatever. And in this case, I have hit a dead end after dead end. So I want to tell you about, again, a few of these stories. These are people from my district. The first one was James and Rhonda from Dove Creek. And the email I got on December 30th from James and Rhonda was, I have been trying to get health insurance since open enrollment started in November. However, due to a glitch in the system at Connect for Health or Maximus, I'm not sure which, I am not able to do so as they keep adding to any income I have reported since the original enrollment started in 2013. My income for next year will be just over $30,000 for a family of two. My income on Connect for Health is now over $275,000. I have been working with a certified application counselor at Community Health Clinic in Dove Creek, Colorado, and a technician at the local social services office. They have corrected my income, but for some reason, the past reports just are not dropping off, but are being added on. I cannot afford over $1,000 a month for health insurance, and until this is resolved as of January 1st, 2015, will no longer have any coverage for myself or my wife. They are supposed to make it retroactive so that I will have this coverage, but the way things are going, I am seriously doubting that will happen. January 4th, when we tried to follow up, we heard from James and Rhonda. I'm writing to let you know some things have been resolved on my account. They now have my income at $42,000, which is an improvement, but it should be $30,000. A little bit later, he says, he's talking about the IT assistant who was to call him back, kept telling me that my $30,000 income was wrong and that my tax credit was right. She finally understood that I was reporting $30,000 in income, not $42,000, but made me feel I should just take what they are giving me the way it was instead of having to correct it. When I refused, she said she would continue to look into it and get back with me. I haven't heard anything as of yet. Later on, he says in this email, I'm getting the feeling that Connect for Health does not have the people who have knowledge enough to resolve issues, and so they do not have the first clue of finding a way to fix things. They need a serious overhaul. They are wasting taxpayer money and time. Then I got another one from Robert. Robert and Carolyn from Cortez. We submitted the first application through the Connect for Health. This is December 26th. We submitted the first application through the Connect for Health Colorado system on November 18th, 2014. The first thing that happens when you submit an application is that it has to go through the state Medicaid system, where you either get approved or denied for Medicaid. This is where the problems first began. We have two children, both between the ages of 21 and 26, that we are declaring as dependents. Our daughter has some disabilities and living at home with us and is not working. Our son is a full-time college student. Story goes on and on. They now, Connect for Health, thinks Bob's income is over $300,000. This was all caused by the system to decide we were ineligible for the advance premium tax credit because our income was over the limit for a family of four. Later on in the email, it says, everyone we talk to can see our tax credit will be about $1,250, so the end price we should be paying will be $350 to $375, but nobody seems to know how this can be accomplished since the system itself has not yet come up with a number for the tax credit. These folks are all trying and getting nowhere. Constituents William Botsford and Amy Gass from Pagosa Springs, similar story. I have been working with these folks since November as they all try and meet the deadlines to avoid penalties, to avoid losing their health insurance. again to no avail. Mr. William Botsford and Amy Gass are talking about in December 12th, we are writing to see if we can get your assistance in working with Connect for Health Colorado to complete our health insurance enrollment for 2015. Later on in the email, they say this is the second year, and I'm sure you realize they've only been open for business 2 years. We have had trouble with the computerized enrollment systems at both Colorado Peak and Connect for Health Colorado. Based upon our experience, the programs as currently set up are not working for the citizens compelled to use them. And then they offer to have a longer conversation with me, which they do at length. January 16th, we get from Legislative Council staff who is trying to help, and what I get there is Mr. William Botsford just emailed to say that despite being told by the Connect staff that he is enrolled, his insurance company has no record of his enrollment and he has not received any billing information. He was in contact with someone on staff, but lately has not been able to get through to that person. I know that on December 18th, you, meaning Connect for Health, indicated Mr. Botsford's enrollment would be guaranteed for January 1st. So then I'm also hearing from Mr. Botsford on January 16th that they are still uninsured. So I guess it goes to, this bill for me goes to the issue of what role does the Legislative Oversight Committee should have over something that the state has invested heavily in, has compelled our citizens to engage with, and clearly in real time today is not working. Again, going back to what the definition of a bonus is for, I think it's entirely appropriate, again, having sat on the Oversight Committee, despite repeated efforts to get information, to urge constructive criticism for improvement. In that course of time of being on that committee, I never felt heard. In fact, that's why I asked to get off that committee, because I felt the word oversight was a complete misnomer for what the committee was doing. I would also point you to, in case anybody thinks this is just partisan bickering over something Republicans don't like, look at the state auditor's performance report that is saying, the state auditor, limited performance audit, we identified problems with 35 out of 92 vendor and grantee payments and contracts that we sampled. That's a 38%, resulting in part in $412,137 in question costs due to non-compliance with federal or contract requirements. Connect for Health paid $55,975 to vendors and $4,320,000 to grantees that were unallowable or unreasonable uses of federal funds. Connect for Health made high-dollar payments to some vendors without fully executed contracts or without the board's approval. Again, we go back to the definition of what a bonus is for: something given or paid over and above what is due, a sum of money granted or given to an employee, usually in appreciation for work done, length of service, accumulated favors. I would say that it is very appropriate, this bill is very appropriate, very needed to get the kind of accountability that we need. I understand that the exchange was an ambitious project. I understand it's repeatedly said that it had bipartisan support. It did, perhaps not out of this chamber, but in the House. Doesn't matter. What matters is the people caught in the crosshairs of the exchange as they try and meet what is required of them. In the meantime, penalties or failure to get health care, which this was supposed to be the pathway to health care, their inability to get to health care because of the barriers put in front of them by the very exchange that was supposed to get them that care, this is a real problem. So I urge support very strongly, trying to be contained for Senate Bill 52.
Madam Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I'm just up to say that I think we've all heard similar stories, and want to thank the senator from Durango, where we've heard from constituents both where it has worked and where it hasn't worked. To the broader issue, I think you will see strong support from the Chamber about the imperative we have to make it work and the support on the exchange. But Senate Bill 52 comes back to a decision we made when the business community stepped forward in Colorado wanting a state-specific solution over a federal one. And we had a choice to have an exchange run by the state, run by the government, or run by a private Tabor enterprise. And there's consequences that flow from that. If we were truly having an exchange run by the state, we would have the full complement of oversight over salaries and benefits that we would normally have if it were a state entity. But by law, a Tabor enterprise is something that is set up in the Constitution. So when this was set up to be a Tabor enterprise, by definition, it limits the role of government and state in the enterprise. And so at that point in time, the conversation was whether we wanted the exchange run by the state, whether we wanted it run by the feds, or whether we wanted it to be essentially a private enterprise. I know in another issue we will get to shortly, we will talk about the imperative that we all as lawmakers have on getting the audit to come forward. But the question before us on Senate Bill 52 is whether or not going forward we can breach the usual role of how this committee is supposed to be set up and what they do with their own internal benefits. If we start to add an increased government role, we threaten the legal status as to whether or not this still meets the criteria of a Tabor enterprise, and therefore all the revenues received from the exchange can be deemed revenue to the state. So I just wanted to point out there are legal consequences. Despite that, I am actually pleased that we in the Senate will be moving forward to act on the good work of the audit committee to go forward and do everything we need to do to make sure that this exchange works for the people of Colorado. But that's not what Senate Bill 52 does, and as a result, I would be a no vote.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. A little bit of comment on the status of the exchange. Is it a private enterprise or not? It is quite true that the legislature set it up as, you might say, at an arm's length from most state departments of government. But do not be deceived in what this is. It is an enterprise that is wholly created by an act of the legislature, fully funded by government funds or government mandated fees on citizens who are mandated to take this insurance. And in addition to that, we raided the funds from Cover Colorado, which was a very legitimate insurance program the state had set up years ago to provide coverage for all Colorado citizens who had no other option, for whom the standard insurance was not available. We wiped that away and said, no, this is the only path you have. And of course, if you don't take it during the sign-up period, you have no options at all. But this is forced by the government. The exchange is a creature of the state. It is most appropriate for the legislature to change those rules, and with respect to this bill, to say bonuses must seek approval from legislative oversight. That does not jeopardize the Tabor status in any way whatsoever. If you go to the Constitution where the Tabor enterprise is created, it's a matter of what revenues are gathered from taxes or other sources. So this does not jeopardize that status at all. It simply clarifies how much latitude they can take on their own. In the opinion of myself, and I believe many others in this body, the management of the exchange was not conducted properly, and money was given out far too generously for results that were less than satisfactory. At a bare minimum, Senate Bill 52 corrects a slight amount, and I believe that's quite appropriate. I am supporting it, and do hope that we can someday get a control on this out-of-control program that has spent over $170 million of state and federal funds so far, has collected well over $200 million. Oversight is appropriate, and this bill is most needed.
Further discussion? Further discussion? Senator Balmer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I just want to point out one thing that seems to be lost in almost every discussion of the exchange and almost every discussion of the, what at the federal level is called the Affordable Care Act. Obviously, many of us refer to it as Obamacare, and President Obama refers to it as Obamacare. And that is that the policies that conform to Obamacare almost always require a very high deductible. And if a policy holder has a high deductible, then that means it's all coming out of their own pocket. So providers, constituents, consumers, they're all contacting me and saying, the whole effect of this Colorado exchange and the whole effect of Obamacare is that average Coloradans are paying $4,000, $5,000 deductibles and up, out of pocket, before their insurance kicks in. And we're supposed to be excited about these health plans that are so much better because of the mandate of Obamacare. And that may be true when you get into the weeds or if you have a very expensive surgery, but what about everything up to that $4,000 or $5,000 deductible? Ouch! Ouch! All of a sudden, our consumers are out of pocket for $4,000. Not that many people in Colorado have got $4,000 swishing around in their wallet. So as we discuss these things, let's don't discuss them in the ivory towers. Let's discuss them in the reality of our constituents. And I hope that as we take a hard look at our exchange, that we think about that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is there further discussion on Senate Bill 52? Seeing none, the motion before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 52 on third reading. Are there any no votes? Senator Carroll, Senator Heath, Senator Aguilar, Senator Guzman, Senator Jean, Senator Ulibarri. Senator Johnson, Senator Newell, Senator Kerr, Senator Stedman, Senator Garcia, further no votes. With 24 ayes, 11 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 52 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Roberts, Senator Balmer, Senator Scott, Senator Marble, Senator Cook, Senator Hill, Senator Grantham, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Woods, Senator Lundberg, Mr. Majority Leader, Senator Neville, Senator Holbert, Senator Sonnenberg. Please add the President. Senator Lambert. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title of Senate Bill 19?
Senate Bill 19 by Senator Sonnenberg and John and Representative Nordberg concerning the authority of the state auditor to conduct a performance audit of the Colorado Health Benefit Exchange.
Senator John.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 19 on third reading, final passage, and ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion on Senate Bill 19? Seeing none, the motion before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 19 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 19 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Mr. Majority Leader, Senator Lundberg, Senator Woods, Senator Neville, Senator Crowder, Senator Lambert, Minority Leader Carroll, Senator Heath, Senator Kafalis, Senator Guzman, Senator Donovan, Senator Marble, Senator Cook, Senator Holbert, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Grantham, Senator Merrifield, Senator Jones, Senator Kerr, Senator Stedman, Senator Todd, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Hill, Senator Johnston, Senator Scott, Senator Balmer, Senator Roberts. Please have the President. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Having voted on the prevailing side, I move for the immediate reconsideration of Senate Bill 24.
The motion before us is the reconsideration of Senate Bill 24. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Senate Bill 24. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title of Senate Bill 24?
Senate Bill 24 by Senator Sonnenberg and John and Representative Writing concerning updates to the local government audit law to maintain consistency with audit standards.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the repassage of Senate Bill 24.
Is there further discussion on Senate Bill 24? Are there any no votes? Senator Ulibarri, Senator Roberts, Senator Crowder, Senator Grantham, Senator Marble. No votes. With 30 ayes, 5 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 24 is re-adopted. Co-sponsors, if you did not join before. Second reading of bills, consent calendar. Second reading, general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar. Senator Marble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar.
The motion before the Senate is to resolve ourselves into the Committee of the Whole for general orders, second reading of bill, consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The Senate will resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for general order, second reading of bill, consent calendars. Senator Marble has the chair.
The committee will come to order. The court rule is relaxed. Mr. Majors, would you please read the titles to all the bills on the general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar?
Senate Bill 47 by Senator Stedman and Representative McCain concerning notification to legislators about the adoption of executive branch agency rules that implement newly enacted legislation. Senate Bill 51 by Senator Todd and Representative Priola concerning legal recourse for a student who is sanctioned or found ineligible to participate in an extracurricular activity.
Majority Leader Sheffield.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the adoption of all the bills on the general order second reading of bills consent calendar, which includes Senate Bill 47 and Senate Bill 51, and ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion? The motion before the body is the adoption of all the bills on the general order, second reading of bills consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bills on the consent calendar are adopted. Majority Leader Sheffield.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion is for the body to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. The committee will rise and report.
No, that's mine. That's mine. Senate will come back to order. Senator Marble.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has had a number of bills under consideration. Mr. Majors, would you please read the report?
January 27, 2015, Mr. President, your committee of the whole basic reports out of consideration the following attached bills being second reading thereof makes following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 47, Senate Bill 51, passed on second reading in order to gross placed on the counter for third reading and final passage.
Senator Marble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the adoption of the report.
The motion before us is the adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole. Are there any no votes? Seeing none, with 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, the Committee of the Whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 1547, Senate Bill 1551 passed on second reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Signing of bills.
January 27, 2015, the President signed Senate Joint Resolution 5.
Message from the House.
January 27, 2015, Mr. President, the House has passed on third reading and transmitted the Revised Statute, House Bill 1021.
Announcements. Senator Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. President. And members, as you know, today is EMS Day at the Capitol. Please join me in recognizing our EMS professionals for their statewide work, and I hope you'll go over and say hi to each of them.
Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, everyone. I'd like to also introduce someone, the only other person that didn't stand up, or that is not an EMS over here, and that is Edgar Ruiz, who is the president or the executive director for Council of State Governments for the Western Division, and he is here to do a state visit in preparation for the conference that will be in Vail in July 28th through the 31st, so mark that on your calendars, and please say hello and welcome Edgar.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Judiciary Committee, there is going to be a joint Judiciary Committee meeting and jointly with the Joint Budget Committee. Upon adjournment, please bring your yellow books. There are several departments affected, so we'll have to hop around in here, but you need to bring your yellow books so we can talk about the governor's budget request. Thank you, Mr. President.
Further announcements? Mr. Majority, message from the reviser.
January 27, 2015, we herewith transmit without comment House Bill 1021.
Further announcements? Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members' committees are meeting as reflected in your calendars. Hearing no other announcements, move the Senate adjourn to 9 a.m. Wednesday, January 28th.
The motion before us is to adjourn until 9 a.m. Wednesday, January 28th. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The Senate will be adjourned. Thank you.